Namaste, good evening. Welcome to the episode of Change and Conflict Management in CBME Paradigm. All these days, we have heard so many sessions about the various components of CBME, foundation course, early clinical exposure, self-directed learning, formative assessment, skill development and skill testing, electives, and so on. And in each of these sessions, we had discussed about the possible challenges and the solutions. But as a whole, in this yagna of CBME, what are the major issues and concerns that are bothering us, and how do we approach them is a very important aspect. So let us try to discuss how we can approach these challenges and how we can circumvent them. So the most important point is contribution from your side. So it is like a sacred Shivalingo, and we are all Bahubalis who are expected to take care of this and implant it in the sanctum sanctorum of medical education. And we have a lot of solutions offered by different people. The first symbol you are seeing, this is a Japanese saying, a proverb called as Kaizen. Some of you may be knowing. I came across this in my workshop and I was really influenced by this. Kaizen means constant improvement for the implementation of any new project. So that means keep improving. That is the statement. And we have some solutions in our own home in the form of Bhagavad Gita. So we are all Arjunas at present seeking the best counseling from the Krishna. Okay, I have to move the slide. The background of the presentation is Professor Vinod Paul, member Niti Ayog and NMC, made a presentation, and I have taken this slide from sir's presentation directly, which states that the new competency-based curriculum was introduced after 21 years. And look at the second statement, implemented effectively nationwide since 2019. And I was contemplating about this word effectively. How can we declare that all the 591 medical schools across India have implemented the first year CBME effectively? How can we make a declarative? Let us think about it. Let us not make any judgments. Let us think about it, and that is the pitch with which we are going to start our session with these objectives to identify and classify or group the challenges, including the conflicts which may arise during CBME implementation, and evolve possible solutions based on experience sharing, theory, and evidence. But I would like to put a disclaimer very much in the beginning so that you will not sue me later on that you could not solve a conflict even after attending the full session today. So everything may not be useful. So the essence is, the meaning is, we need to probably identify the solutions ourselves based on all this background knowledge and information. So be careful about this disclaimer. So we need to ponder about certain questions like doctors and teachers are not good leaders and managers. Since a long time, almost 3 decades, I am hearing this statement. Doctors are terrible when it comes to working in teams. Teachers with good leadership skills do not get leadership positions often. Academic leadership is second fiddle to administrative leadership. And conflicts are more common in healthcare and health professional education and may increase with the advent of CBME. These are all debatable, arguable. Some of us may accept some of them and some of us may not accept it. But these are all the statements which are doing around since a long time, and most of us are aware of these things, and we will keep them in the background when we are discussing. Now, looking at change management and leadership. Change leadership is about the driving forces, developing the vision, charting out a mission, and the processes which will fuel the large scale transformation across the country. And the management is to set out with the basic tools and structures which are required to bring in this change, so that the change process is well governed, well regulated, and under our control, and to minimize the distractions from the goal as much as possible and enhance the impact of the same. All of us perceive change in different ways, and most of us are reluctant to embrace change for various reasons. We are more comfortable with the status quo or the stable equilibrium. So we have our own conceptions about the change. So these cartoons depict the same. And whenever change, that to a large scale change, a drastic and a dramatic change, a revolutionary change occurs in our setup, we do throw out emotional reactions. And most common one is the anger. Who allowed this to happen? I will not cooperate. When this CBME was rolled out, many faculty from in our own institution expressed this feeling. Sadness, frustration. Why our department? Why did they do this to us? Why did they start with medical education only? Why did not start with nursing, pharmacy, dental? Why did homeopathy, ayurveda? Why did they started with this for medical education only? And at the college level also, they will ask when the uh, number of hours allotted is changed. They will say why they have reduced hours from our department, why postings is reduced, why they have shifted to that place, why forensic medicine is shifted here. So we say why our department is targeted in this change process. And very few people, a minuscule of people, feel happy. Yes, there is a change in the anvil. Let me see what role I can play in it. I have not seen many people who are joyous that there is a chance for them to do something new, something different. And some of us, we resign to our fates because it is given by the governing body, apex body. We have to do it, no other way, no options. So let us see what will happen. So from the traditional to CBME, we are transiting, and in this process, look at the inset picture. Here, the reason why I have showed this is in this yagna, I call it as yagna. In this yagna of CBME implementation, each and every person is important. As we have realized in the COVID times, every person is equally important. It is not only the vice chancellor, it is not only the dean, it's not only the head of the department. Every teacher in all ranks and merits, and even non-teaching staff, field staff, everybody is equally important. So that's why this picture shows that when we have to cross this gap to this safe zone, see, at one point of time, each one is dependent on the two others for the safety. So that is the point. And let us look at this Kurt Levin's model of change management or change. How does the change happen? The change happens in three phases according to this model. There are many models. There are hundreds of models given by corporate sector. And I have chosen this which is most often used and most frequently quoted in the literature. First, we have to unfreeze ourselves. That means we have to accept there is a need for change. There should be some sense of guilt, some sense of inner feeling that yes, there is a need. So we have to change ourselves. We have to unfreeze. We have to uncondition ourselves. We have to decondition ourselves. So that's unfreezing. And then we have to change, accepting the new things, learning new things. And then after all that, we have to refreeze and form ourselves again into and get into the new equilibrium and start functioning. But here the question is, how many of us have unfrozen now, as on today? How many of are willing to change? And how much time it takes? If it takes 5 years, then 5 years is a long time. So we have to decide what is the time for unfreezing in CBME implementation for preclinical staff, paraclinical, clinical, and so on. How much time we should take to change and refreeze again so that we are all set, we are all ready. That means I have accepted that I have to be play an active role in the CBME implementation. I have undergone CISP training. I am a part of curriculum committee. I am a part of alignment and integration team. I am part of many activities, simulation lab, etc. I have learned the skills, acquired the skills. I have refrozen myself. So that is the stage. That then only the CBME can be implemented properly. So this has to happen. But many people don't unfreeze at all for a long period of time. They are resistant for various reasons, some of them being genuine. So that is the point. We have to do an analysis, situation analysis at our institution, at our university, and then understand what are the reasons which are preventing us from unfreezing. So this is a very important model. Another important concept I liked most is the hard fact and soft facts which bring about an organizational change. The hard facts are we receive a notification, GMER comes, we get circulars from the universities, we get circulars from dean's office that we have to do so and so. These many things have to be accomplished. These are all hard facts. But the soft facts are the cultural level. That is why I showed that Kaizen symbol at the beginning, Japanese symbol. They will ask this question themselves. The culture is such that they will ask what we need to do to bring in that change. So everybody is eager to play their role and outperform one another in bringing about the desired change. And we have a standing example right in India, Kalam sir. Wherever he was there, he was able to bring in the change in the cultural level. Organization level, it is easy. It is about just sending out some notifications, circulars, memos, orders, etc. But bringing about a cultural change requires true leadership, true personality. And Kalam sir was able to do it, whether he was in DRDO or whether he was in the highest office, the president's office. He was able to bring about the change. So he should be he had a role in our NRHM as also, as all of us know. And we can look at the system model also. So we can look at the input that has to come in for the CBME, the process that has to happen, the outcome is IMG, the impact is betterment of health. So I have not included the outcome and impact here. But the problem is the output may be expected or unexpected. Expected outputs are expected number of small group sessions, field visits, skill teaching, skill assessment, feedback sessions, logbook documentation. These are all expected outputs. Assessment of the skills, all these are. The processes are the training that happens for this, whether it is CASP training or other trainings. The alignment and integration timetables that come into picture, number of classes that happen, all these are the processes. The input is the CBME curriculum with the 8 modules and some more are in the pipeline. The modules themselves, the CBME curriculum itself, and the physical infrastructure, the human resource teaching, non-teaching infrastructure, all these things go into the input. And in this system model, we have to understand where does the problem lie, what are the indicators for this input indicators, process indicators, output indicators that we can rely on to assess our progress. So I always say we have to chart, we have to have a growth chart, just like the growth chart of the children with respect to their nutritional assessment. We should put our institution in the chart where we are with respect to the input, with respect to the processes which are happening, and the output that is happening. So, and we should see that most of them are expected and very less unexpected. Sometimes very good unexpected outcome and output can happen. That is fine. So we have to look at the throughput, which is the transformation of input into output. And there is a model. There are several. I have taken this very interesting model called this 8-step change model, which says establish a sense of urgency, and these are the 8 steps. I will explain how we did it in our institution. When we didn't had a simulation lab, so it is must as per the CBME implementation plan, as you all know. So since 1.5 years, I have been as a convener of medical education unit and coordinator of curriculum committee. I am trying to influence our dean by repeated meetings and reminders to set up a simulation lab. Even today, it is not ready. Being a government institution, we have a lot of issues to tackle. So we made it an important need, not a want, and there was a sense of urgency which we created by impressing upon the administration about the need to set up a skill lab or a simulation lab as early as possible. And we tried to create a powerful coalition by involving people who have real skills, who are already using it, like anesthesia department, surgery department. We had a meeting with the HODs and other interested people, faculty in these departments, and we had a workshop as to, and we also contacted some other institutions which are already having the skill lab. So we did develop this coalition, and we developed a change. We developed a vision, simple, understandable, and inspirational. So we prepared one-page executive summary having 300 words, where we explained what is the need as per the MCI mandate. It has to be in place by the end of this year. So we uh, developed that executive summary and we presented it to all the people concerned, and we communicated that vision. So by sending it to all the people involved, and then we thought we looked at the obstacles. There was no space allocated. Then we went around with the team, went around the entire institution to search for a place which is ideal. And then we looked at one place which was not used, which was next to the examination hall. It was an old and dilapidated structure. And then we thought, why can't we renovate and start using it for the time being? And now that we have finalized the place, because everybody was telling there is no place, we have to build a new structure. So we tried to identify a new place where the skill lab can be set up. So when we did this, when we removed these obstacles, and then the budgetary allocation was done and it has to be passed the government, lot of procedures and formalities are there, and for each step we followed up. And then whenever something happened, when we identified the location, when we started renovating it, we celebrated, the entire team celebrated. We posted these pictures in the WhatsApp group of the college, and everybody said fine, well done, keep going, and many more people started joining also. And we also told the student representatives to come in and see and involve themselves in this activity. So now, even now it is not ready, but it's in the final stages. Shortly we are going to inaugurate the skill lab. It was a very tough job, as all of you will understand, but we never uh, gave up it because it had to be done. So we used this model. So the quintessence is create a flexible plan, form a powerful implementation team with a group of trusted advisors, plan and create short-term wins and celebrate them. So that's the key. Then problem solving cycle or protocol means you have to first identify and understand the problem and assess what is the scale of the problem. And later on, I will explain what is the scale of the problem. I have classified them in my own way. I will explain this and gather relevant information, identify root causes. For this, there are several models again. There is one model called as fishbone diagram. In fishbone diagram, just like a fishbone, it goes and each the main skeleton will go and the other bones which come and join the main bone are the different problems and how that can be tackled. So this problem solving cycle is explained in fishbone diagram also. Then after identifying the root causes for them, you develop a hypothesis and test it whether it is the cause or not, and involve all the people who may be relevant for solving that problem, and consider the proposed plan of action or solutions ABC, and then test them and implement it. So it's a cycle. So there are many models, many approaches. SWOT analysis, most of us know, strength, weakness, opportunity analysis. Black swan phenomenon. It's a very interesting phenomenon. Black swan phenomenon means there is a theory that all swans are white, and once you find a black swan, that theory is disproven. So we say that this method is going to fail. And once we see somebody succeeding in that method, then that means it's a black swan phenomenon. So when we say that small group discussions cannot be done with this many number of staff and other resources, and try to talk to people in different institutions and see somebody with the same number of staff are successfully doing that, then suddenly you understand that it can be done. That's a black swan phenomenon. And we have a black box phenomenon also, which means you have the input, that is so many things, we have output, but the process you don't understand. How exactly the change is being done, you are not going to understand. You have to decipher how what process is happening to get that output. This is called as black box phenomenon. This can also be understood, it can also be used. Murphy's law, if something can go wrong, it will definitely go wrong. This is a very interesting principle, and I'm very fond of this principle, so we have to keep it in mind, especially with respect to this. I use this Murphy's law with respect to logbook. That means if the students will start copying from one another, then if there is a possibility, then that will happen, as it is happening now with histology records and many other records. In our college, the senior students records are written by some junior students. We came across this after a long time. We identified, we made a diagnosis, now we have sorted it out. So there, if there is a possibility, that will happen. That is Murphy's law. And this is another interesting phenomenon called Pygmalion effect. So high achievement always takes place in the framework of high expectation. Again, Japan is an example. When aims institutions in our country itself is an example. IITs are examples. So where IIMs are examples. Wherever high achievement is expected, then the high achievement will occur. That's called a Pygmalion effect. Charles Kettering has demonstrated this effect. All these are possible. You can really test them. They are all possible. And another of my favorite principle is Pareto analysis. Pareto analysis is also called as 80-20 chart. That means 80% of the work is done by 20% of the people, or the 80% of the problem is caused by 20% of the reasons, whatever way you would like to call it. So it is a formal technique useful where many possible courses of action are competing for attention. And here we assess the benefits of each and every action, and we select those most effective actions that will deliver total benefit, maximum total benefit. That means if 20% of the actions are possible to solve 80% of the problem, we'll select those 20%, called as Pareto principle. We also call it as 20-50-30 principle. So this is also a very interesting principle which can be used. So there are 4 T's for problem solving. One is technology, talent, trust, and team approach. All are equally important. And when it comes to technology, we should not be worried about high sounding technology, state of the art technology. Just like in community medicine, we say appropriate technology. Here also we should be using appropriate technology only. KSOM means knowledge, skill, orientation, and attitude analysis, which has to be done for our staff. And having trust with one another and having a team approach will definitely help in a big way. You can't prevent me from teaching and learning. When we talk about the scarcity of resources, this is an example which I show in many places. So a high school teacher from a government college in a village started using innovative methods to teach geography, astronomy, geometry, etc. And this lady, Srimati Sarvamangala, got a state level award for her innovative methods of teaching. Now she is consulted by the Rajiv Gandhi University of Health Sciences also, because she is very adept in teaching biology also. Basically, she's a mathematics teacher. So the point take home message is, where there is a will, there is a way. That is the point. And another NMC slide by Professor Vinod Paul says that shortage of teachers will be addressed. So this is a hope for us. I've taken the verbatim slide. It says the NMC will allow visiting faculty to top up regular staff to augment quality. So let us take notice. Those of us who are worried about the deficiency of staff, there will be visiting faculty in the future, hopefully. And also there will be equated designations for non-teaching specialists. This is a very another interesting thing. I have my own ideas on this. We'll discuss later on if necessary. And liberalizing criteria for DNB postgraduates, which is not already happening. But again, here there is a small issue. It is not the teacher shortages. It is about the basic minimum criteria that MCI or the NMC has prescribed. If the minimum criteria is increased, teachers are there. They have to be recruited. That is the point. And most of us will agree on this. And this man, perhaps the greatest conflict handler of 20th century, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, since his entry into India in 1909 till he died, he managed maximum conflicts at the highest level. He failed in most, but he uh, left out a legacy and an indelible impression on the entire uh, nation, which all of us know. And his statement is, be the change you want to see in this world. So you change yourself first. That's what he is trying to say. So whenever we see people, I have not come across a single person who says that probably I need to change. Every time we say our HOD has to change, when the next dean comes, situation will improve. When the administration changes, situation will improve. When I become HOD, I will change the system. So this is, I have heard this, and most of us will agree with this, but very seldom we ask ourselves, have I changed in the past 1 year? Have I changed in the past one mathematics, my own approach to problem solving, wherein I have classified four categories. Some of them are not at all challenges. They are all perceived challenges. They are not real challenges. How they can be countered? By reflection, by identifying our blind spots and appropriate communications. And there are certain challenges which can be neutralized easily by reflection, communication, cooperation, faculty development, and mentoring. And then challenges which can be diffused but not fully. I will give examples. For how they can be tackled: innovation, technology, collaboration, research, and leadership positions. And challenges which are bound to persist. We can approach them: networking, research, advocacy, and community practice. Now look at this first quadrant. They are not challenges at all. I don't get recognition. Administration and management does not give me any incentives. They do not recognize. They do not send me for training programs. They don't pick my name whenever it is a list is prepared for CASP program. For some reason, I am being discriminated. This is a challenge for many of us. But if I am not deputed for CISP, why can't I get myself trained outside the formal training? Why can't I can't I access to the resources and learn self-directed learning? That's some of the challenge. Most of the challenges are not at all true challenges at the individual level. I am not promoted. I'm still an associate professor even after 20 years of teaching experience. So these are all our grievances, challenges which can be neutralized easily. And once we understand that it's not at all a challenge, then we start working in a better way. My student has become a professor, but I am still an assistant professor, associate professor. But there will be reasons why I am not promoted. So I can always change my institution. But if I am in that institution, my duty is to fall in line. So challenges which can be neutralized easily. So for example, some of the challenges that were listed are assessment during first professional year, difficult because neither the students nor some of them listed in the WhatsApp group I am quoting. Neither the students nor the faculty are interested, involved at the time. There is no time, there is no inclination. So how they can be solved? So you can cooperate and communicate with the first year faculty and see how one internal assessment can be done. So by appropriate communication and cooperation, and most importantly, reflecting why it is not happening, what role I have played so far, have I succeeded or failed? If yes, yeah, why? If no, why? And can I mentor somebody when I'm mentoring the students, when I'm mentoring the junior faculty, when there is co-mentoring between the faculties? So these are some of the approaches which can be adopted, and most of them can be neutralized. For example, technical experience, somebody has quoted. A technical experience, MCI has mandated uh, that, but staff are not equipped with softwares, etc. See, that is okay. If I do not have good skills in technology, I can always learn from the juniors, or I can have some of the tech staff or a resident as my assistant who will support me. When I look at Hemangini madam's slide, I feel that I am just an advanced beginner in the PPT making. So I have to take a tutorial from madam. It's very simple. So we should not bother too much. If I am a doctor, if I am a teacher, I can always acquire some additional skill with some effort from my side. So these are all challenges which can be neutralized easily. Challenges which can be diffused but not fully. These are important. For example, the some questions I will try to look at this. Assessment, lack of support, that is not one. uh, and small group teaching with less number of staff, most of us will agree formative assessment is going to be the toughest challenge for us. Assessment of skills is going to be the toughest challenge. Unless we completely have the infrastructure, it is going to be difficult. But we can use innovations, we can use technology, we can collaborate. And the leadership positions, that means people who are in the MEU, who are in the curriculum committee, can continue to influence the admin to bring in the necessary changes, maybe in terms of resources or whatever, to see that things will take place. Challenges which are bound to persist, like lack of interest from certain faculty. 20-30% of the people will always feel that this is not possible, we cannot do everything, we cannot set up electives in our department because we don't have the necessary training or necessary infrastructure. So or the admin will only look at certain aspects which are which will bring in revenue, other things will be neglected, and this will continue to happen irrespective of the institution. However big the institution is, it is there in Johns Hopkins, it is there in Harvard. I met one person who did PDF, postdoctoral fellowship from Harvard, which is ranked as the number one medical school in the whole world, which overtook Johns Hopkins in the early part of 20th century, has a lot of issues. I was surprised to know that the institute, which turns out the maximum number of Nobel laureates, have issues like racism. I was really surprised. So issues are there everywhere. And another interesting paper I came across was Complicated and Complex Systems by these two authors, Goberman and Zimmerman. So this is a very interesting article which classifies problems into simple problems, complicated problems, and complex problems, and how these can be sorted out. I will give one example and stop. The simple problem is I have to prepare a PowerPoint for teaching appendicitis to final year MBBS. Simple. The problem is there because I have to prepare it. Simple challenge. Complicated is I have to use that PowerPoint to teach the students online or offline. It is complicated because I should know the technology. I should attract the students. Students should understand what I am telling. There is a problem, technical snag. I have to circumvent that, and then the students should understand what I have taught. And after that, the assessment they have to score well to make sure that I delivered the content properly. That is the complicated. What is complex? Performing an appendicectomy is a complicated issue. Sorry, complex issue. So this is another interesting way of looking at it. And the Japanese have a philosophy of these skills: being on time, work ethic, putting effort, optimistic, being passionate, and all this. And of course, all of us know they are loyal and dedicated. So that's why Japanese medical schools are doing extremely well. Not just medical schools, all education system in Japan is the model for the entire world. And I use the Indian equivalent as the Hanuman syndrome. That means Hanuman was one person who never thought there is an obstacle. He just set out doing this, whether it is bringing a herb or crossing a ocean. So this is another concept called the force field analysis. When we are trying to bring in a change, we have to list out the positive forces which will facilitate the change process, and the negative process which may come as obstacles in the change process. So once you list out, you have to reduce the number of negative forces and bring them into this column, first column positive forces, by using various methods that we discussed before. So this is one thing which we have to do initially, whether it is doing a project ourselves, or doing bringing about a publication, or getting a promotion in our institution, or bringing about a massive change like CBME institution. So for that, we have to identify the people and classify them into these four quadrants. So look at this quadrant A: high influence and high interest. So in CBM, with respect to CBMB, we have the deans, principals, and HODs are the people who have high influence and high interest. We have to impress upon them as much as possible. And then people who are high influence and low interest, our medical education secretaries, people in the universities, etc., they are high influence, but their interest may not be that much high. And low influence and high interest, maybe some teachers, some students, and here of course some teachers and some students may fall into this category also. So our job is to increase the interest level to as much a higher level as possible. And influence you cannot change. An assistant professor's influence is limited irrespective of what we do. So try to bring in more, rope in more of these people into your side so that the implementation is going to be more successful. This is called as stakeholders analysis, wherein you will try to understand people who are above you, people who are below you, people who are on par with you, internal peers inside the department, and the people who are outside. So outside the department, so you can try to understand these people, their mentalities, and how you can influence and inspire these people to bring in the change. So this is called as stakeholder matrix analysis. So I have made it for assistant associate professor level, mid level. If you are dean, here it changes. Here it goes to secretary, minister, vice chancellor, etc. And all the staff comes below. So it depends upon who you are. So it is very important for us to make this analysis. And another important vital ingredient is motivation. How do we motivate ourselves is $1 million question. Whether we are waiting for external motivation or we will bring in some internal motivation is the $1 billion question. And without motivation, we cannot accomplish CBMA, as all of us know. Now, if we look at the conflict, as I told you, conflict happens because we always look at others instead of looking at ourselves. So what is conflict? This is what the dictionary says, but we are not interested. So our interest is, it is a state of incompatibility of ideas between two or more parties or individuals. So conflict management is the practice of identifying and handling conflict in a sensible, fair, and efficient manner. So that's what conflict has to be managed. So I would use these two concepts. One is Johari's window and transaction and analysis for understanding this. So this is a very important concept. Johari's window, here we have to understand there are four areas: open area, blind area, hidden area, and unknown area. See, what is most important for us is to address this blind area. Blind area can be addressed only when we start taking feedback from our colleagues and others about our performance. And in the transactional analysis, most of us feel that I am okay, you are not okay. And once we reach the stage of I am okay and you are okay, most of the problems fall in place. And here, the hierarchy of need conflicts occur because our social needs and esteem needs are not met. I am not given promotion. I am not given the authorship, though I contributed the project, the clinical trial, the vaccine trial was hijacked from me and it was handed over to somebody else in the institution. So these are all the reasons why we get into conflicts. And there is one instrument called as Thomas Kilmann instrument, which is used to assess and approach the conflict. So it is based on two components. One is assertiveness, another is cooperativeness. How much we want to assert ourselves, how much we want to cooperate with the others. Based on this, there are 5 ways. So here cooperativeness increases as we go along, and here the assertiveness increases. So here the first quadrant, which is unassertive and least cooperative, is we just avoid the person with whom we have a conflict. And here we accommodate, here we collaborate, here we compete. Some people use the animals also for this. They use owl here, they use jackal here, they use shark here, they use turtle here, they use a toy like a teddy bear here. So here what happens is, in collaborating and accommodating, it is win-win. Both of us win. Between both the parties who are involved in conflict will win here. Here it is one person win, one person loses. Here both person loses. So the ideal way is collaborating approach and accommodating approach of conflict handling is ideal. So there is another model called as heal it. Uh, it is the conflict has to be resolved, otherwise it will derail teamwork. It will come in the way of professional relationships, and enmities and hidden agendas will be created, and lot of resources will be wasted. Heal it means have an attitude of curiosity, that is not judgment, evaluates facts, ideas, and principles, appreciate other person's point of view, which most of the time we don't do. Listen, that is another thing. We always become deaf once we think that I am right, somebody is wrong. And I perspective, speak why you felt like that, why you spoke like that, what was your point, what was your thinking, and take time and space to have a conversation. So let us remember that heal it is one way of approaching conflict. There are many approaches, and then this is what is the different components of heal it: evaluating facts, appreciating other points of view. According to me, this is critical. Once we understand that why the other person behaved that way, then the problem is solved. And listening, all that we know in the communication, we have learned how much important listening is, active listening is. And then let us look at the role of leadership also. We know what is leadership. Leadership is to set the goal and vision and the path, and motivate people towards that vision to accomplish that vision. And we also know that there is a small difference between leadership and managers. All leaders can be managers, but all managers cannot be leaders. So to implement CBME, should we be managers or leaders? We should be both. Especially if we are at the middle level and lower level, we should be good managers. If we are at the HOD level and above, we should be good leaders. But notwithstanding my statement, we should understand that all of us are leaders in our own capacity. And this is an interesting leadership model. If you look at this, there are two different types of leaders. People who are task centered. In COVID era, most of them were task centered. Our district administrator said that these many tests has to be done. People has to be tracked. They have to be traced. They have to be treated. They have to be tested. So they were task centered. Some people are laissez-faire. That means they are not interested about what happens, whether we accomplish something or not. Some people are too much relationship centered. I want leave for 2 months because I have some problem during COVID time. They give leave. They are give leave. But here these people, task centered people will not give. And there are some people who are team centered. That means they have the sorry, they have both these attitudes. They are worried about the individuals also, they are worried about accomplish the task also. The standing example is Kalam sir, and he was a team centered leader, and this is called a situational leadership model. It's also called as black and white grid approach for leadership, and it is called as situational leadership. We have to understand what type of leaders are there in our institution, what type of leaders we are. Are we task oriented, are people oriented, or we are midway, or we are diplomatic? Even our political leaders also you can classify using this grid. It's a very interesting grid. Let us keep this in mind. And it is the same thing. And here, if you are too much task oriented, you are autocratic. Team oriented, democratic. Here you are transformational because you are too much people oriented. This is laissez-faire. This is how we help our colleagues with low competence and high commitment who have entered recently, our residents, etc. They need more of directing. And people who have some degree of competence but the commitment is low, they need coaching, which means support, direction, listening, facilitating, pricing, awarding, rewarding, etc. Then high competence but variable commitment. Sometimes I do too well, sometimes I am indifferent. One CME I conducted very well, next CME I'm a disappointment. So my commitment is variable, but I'm competent. So I need support. High competent and high commitment, just delegate it, they will discharge the duty. So this is one way of understanding. And we have also heard about the transformational leadership. I will not talk much about this, but this is the need of the hour. And we should also understand when do we delegate. So I just kept this slide because it is also very important for us to understand when we can allow somebody to take our place and discharge the duties, whether it is the assistant professor or the HOD or the dean. They should be able to understand when they can delegate. Recently, for one of the webinar, one of the directors of the institute delegated the responsibility to one staff, but he made a blunder. So that had a bad repercussions. So delegation should be done with lot of diligence. It cannot be done just offhandedly. So as usual, I have some books, especially Sorosky's Wisdom of Crowds, which talks about the teams. It's a wonderful book. And Ardham Chaudhry's Wisdom in his book Count Your Chickens Before the Hatch is a wonderful book. And two classics by Malcolm Gladwell, Blink and Outliers, are very helpful. And I loved this book, Simon Sinek, and he is one of my favorite uh, person who has written this book. Start with Why. You should listen to his talks, and of course, our role model, Kalam Sir's autobiography. He has very lucidly illustrated how we can bring about change, how we can transform organizations. So the take-home message is we should first ask ourselves this question: am I a part of the problem or solution? Can I identify the key critical elements of the problem? Should I try to diffuse the problem or remain silent? It's very important. Error of omission or commission. Conflict can be prevented, but not always. And all conflicts may not be bad always. There are functional conflicts which will improve. That's what Kalam sir says, especially in his SLV 3 and 4 bushels. There were good conflicts. And all theories are for reading when it comes to us. It is our intent, personality, and reflective ability which matters. That is why the disclaimer was there in the beginning. And then there is no assignment here. Some food for thought and action, that all of us will do a force field analysis whenever we undertake a new thing. And let us look at the system approach for identifying the challenges, that is input, process, output. In each of that, what are the challenges? Let us have this approach. Let us do this as an exercise on our own, and let us assess our own leadership's qualities. If you are interested, if you ask me, I will send you through WhatsApp the tool for that. And there is a quotient called as conflict quotient. The conflict quotient can be both positive and negative. Negative means I am good at creating conflict. Positive means there is no evidence here. It's my concept. And if it is positive means I am sought after whenever there is a conflict. So which category we belong to? And communication paradox in conflict, try to find out what it is. And as you know that there is no vaccine. It's still in the final phase. So I would finish with this. The woods are dark, deep, and lovely, and we have promises to keep, and we have miles to go before we sleep. Robert Frost. So this is what I say. Just 1 minute, you read yourself. I will not read it for you. Okay. I would like to acknowledge Nimesh sir for supporting me in the background, supplying me with a lot of material, and Parag sir for all the support, and all the facilitators, among in Madam and others who gave, Pankaj sir who gave a lot of inputs, and all the participants for your interest, and my institute where I have come across both in the health and family welfare department where I worked for 8 years, medical education where I worked for 20 years, which has taught me a lot of things. Only a glimpse I could share today. And a family where I have, which is a laboratory for experimenting, especially with respect to conflicts. So I will stop here. We will go on to the discussion. I will request Animesh sir to take over the session. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you so
Animesh
much,
sir?
sir. Yes, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir. I'm audible, sir. Please.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. It's been a wonderful, time listening to you, and shows a lot of experience as well as you being very well read, and you have brought in so many aspects within this short duration, and I'm sure that some of this will be helpful. Of course, you've already given us a disclaimer. So I think I am not able to see the questions, sir. I'm not sure if you can see it. I'm not able to see any questions in my panel. But before
Yes,
we
I will
go
see.
in, could we invite some of the the participants as well as facilitators? I think Dr. Parag, if he's still there, I'm not sure if he's there. He was to leave. I think he's left. Okay, so any of the facilitators would like to come in and speak? Anything that you would like to share from any of the facilitators? Any particular, say maybe. So, sir, are you able to see the questions? Let me just see the
No,
questions if I can.
no, sir. I am also not able to see any question. Question
No, now
for
I can. No,
box.
now I just got the screen, sir. Just got the screen where I can see the question. It was not there. Now it has
Okay.
come to me. So I'll just see.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'll just read out, sir. Just give me a moment.
Hmm. Yes, sir. So I'm not able to see, sir.
So there was a comment, I would say, it's not really a question. So visiting faculty will be equal to the existing ghost faculty who will not be contributing to any improvement in medical education except for numbers, sir. No qualitative change. So accountability laid down will remain on paper only, sir. This is one of the comments from Dr. Mithila. Anything that you want to respond, sir?
Uh, Sir, my opinion is the concept of visiting faculty is really good because the people who are interested will all and passionate only will come or has to come rather. for this. So, but there is always a possibility. I do agree with Mithila madam, but this is a possibility. But the question is, how do we take care that such a thing will not happen? How do we bring in the checks and balances? Build in the checks and balances into the system is very important. If we do that, and if we can evaluate, if there is a system of evaluation of the visiting faculty by continuous feedback from the students as well as from the other regular faculty, and if there is a performance appraisal which is not just an eyewash, which is a really well-grounded performance appraisal is there in place, definitely the visiting faculty will do the job. That's my opinion. Let us be hopeful, let us be optimistic as of now. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I also agree, sir, and as you said, optimistic.
Sir,
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it Dr. Pankaj?
Yes.
yes, sorry to interrupt you. Yes, sir, finish, then I will say. Yes, sir.
No, so I just wanted to say that, about 5, 6 years back, we here in Manipal Academy of Higher Education, we started with this, and we have some of the visiting faculty. We call them adjunct visiting faculty. Of course, it's not under the MCI purview and all, but we had started. And I would like to say that this system has been working well for us in different ways. Of course, it's not, maybe for MCI purpose and all, but if you see, and we've had for each department we've had some people who we have chosen, and then we have appointed them as adjunct faculty. Some of them are from very reputed institutions within the country, some of them are from abroad, and they have helped us in some ways, either in research or so some kind of capacity building. And what they do is, like, whenever, like, if abroad people means whenever they are in India, so they are supported for their domestic travel and the local hospitality and a very nominal honorarium. And in fact, I'm also happy to share that, in KMC Mangalore, we were the first department, community medicine, during my leadership, that we had the adjunct faculty, Dr. Ravi Mamtani, who's from Qatar, Will Cornell, and Will Cornell, US. So actually, it's been quite good. Sir, Pankaj sir, you were sharing something.
Yes, sir. Just I wanted to add, is better you spoke before me. The concept of visiting faculty, what you were describing, is totally different than what concept of visiting faculty coming from Government of India, MCI notification on anything. If you see, that visiting faculty is totally different concept. That visiting faculty very clearly says, if I am not wrong, please correct me, 2 to 3 hours of teaching per day, and these visiting faculties are never going to be counted against the requirements of what NMC or MCI talks about. So the visiting concept faculty, anyhow the ghost faculties cannot become the visiting faculty, because anyhow even if they become visiting faculty is not going to be counted for MCI or NMC or that kind of scenario. And what Anime sir was talking about is going to be more and more important when it becomes a visiting faculty. So there will be very unlikely chance that visiting faculty will be counted in the accreditation process and also becomes a ghost facility as per the notification, if I'm correct. Please correct me if I'm.
Sir Manjunath sir, anything on that? Because I'm not very sure. I had seen it, but I'm not very sure.
Yeah, Pankaj sir, thank you very much. See, I try to get into this concept of visiting faculty from the NMC perspective, because the visiting faculty concept is different in different setups and in different countries, as Pankaj sir rightly brought out. I feel they are yet to lay down the actual criteria for this visiting faculty, and they are doing the process as per. I heard the talk. As per the talk, they are developing the guidelines and they will release the guidelines. And based on the guidelines, individual institutions can decide what is the need, scope, and extent of visiting faculty that may be required for that institutions. And as Pankaj sir rightly said, they are not counted by the NMC as far as the minimum requirement is concerned. So this visiting faculty, adjunct faculty, honorary faculty, uh, professor emeritus status, and then faculty exchange programs. I am also fond of this faculty exchange programs where Animate sir comes to MMC for 1 week, stays with us, goes around and sees what is happening, and then gives his inputs about how this can be improved upon. And sometime next time Pankaj sir comes to MMC, stays for a few days, and I go to some other place. And these are all the new things which can be experimented upon. So I completely agree with Pankaj sir with respect to visiting faculty. Over to Animesh sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So again, there is one request from Dr. Sairu Philip that that conflict quotient. Can you please share, or otherwise you could share it on the WhatsApp?
I will share up in the share in the WhatsApp later. Let us discuss for another 25 minutes. We will discuss.
Sure, sir.
I will
Yes,
definitely
sir.
share
Sure.
that, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Sure,
sir.
sir. Yes. Uh, I think by and large, that's again one of the issues is about the decreasing number of faculty strength. So that's one thing that has been raised, sir, which will be kind of a hindrance for CBME. So your views on that, sir?
This is clear and straight. There is no confusion, and most of us are right when we say that the minimum faculty prescribed by the NMC or the SYL MCI is not adequate to implement the CBME effectively, because they have not done any pilot experiments to see for 150 students or 250 students how much faculty is required department wise to implement what they have prescribed. So without having such a piloting, and if they prescribe the minimum faculty, they have to get feedback from the nodal centers or some or institutions, which they are doing. If we look at the CISP programs, they are taking the feedback with respect to all these aspects. Probably they will change the minimum requirements for issue. But the problem is, in India, we have institutions which have 92 faculty. I don't want to take the names. And we have the institutions which have 400 plus faculty. AMC has very good faculty. There are certain institutions which have less than 100 faculty for same number of students, 100, 150 students, 250 students. So the point here is, MCI always talks about the minimum criteria, but the minimum criteria becomes the benchmark for private institutions, because there is always there is a the focus is on the expenditure, whereas in government institutions in DMC we have 480 faculty for 250 students. So the reason is it's a government medical college. People do not bother. So, but this issue has to be addressed, and the minimum criteria has to be revised by the NMC, and probably, most probably, it will happen. Most probably, let us be again optimistic about this. But for the time being, how can we utilize the available resource and increase our efficiency? That is output per unit input, by making certain innovations like peer teaching, involvement of peers in teaching processes, seniors in teaching processes, residents in teaching processes, and assessment processes wherever required. So let us look at the available avenues and options for the time being. That is my take, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think I will invite two of the participants who had shared their experiences in the WhatsApp group. So
Uh,
if Dr. Wasim and Dr. Maltesh, yes, sir,
Animesh
Parag
sir,
sir,
Animesh
yes, sir,
sir, Pankaj, just
yeah,
before
Pankaj
we
sir,
go to that important point for discussion, regarding this faculty requirement and the numbers prescribed, just I want to bring to everybody's notice, which probably we look at it. Before NMC came into picture, if I'm not wrong, approximately I think on 25th of September, before that MCI had kept certain requirements of faculties and so many other things. And then after 25th September, a new notification came into picture to say that the faculty and the other requirements are notified. And if I'm not wrong, somewhere around 28 29 September, a new notification came, and there was a lot of discussion on those about the faculty requirements. But we also need to look at the FAQ, or the frequently asked question, which was released by NMC, which is available on their website. It is probably I think 6 or 7 pages, and what I could understand, I may be wrong also in full understanding, it says that the faculty requirement which is notified now, which probably are a different in number compared to what it was earlier, is for the new colleges. and not for the old existing colleges. And probably this, my thinking says that probably in the beginning they can start with the probably a so-called lesser number, and as they become the full-fledged college, the same earlier number of minimum requirement may come into picture. This is my understanding. I'll be happy if somebody corrects me, but that FAQ very clearly says the new gazette notification applies to only the new colleges and not the existing one who are running or who supposed to run full-fledged program. The new colleges may start with the first year, and at that point of time, since only first year MBBS students are there, faculty requirement to be different than a college which is running first and second year, which is running first, second, third year, and so on. I'll be happy if any difference of opinions on this come. This is my understanding that once full-fledged college comes, everywhere will be same requirement, and probably it will be more than what is being talked about now.
Okay, sir. Thank you. I don't think anyone has any inputs right now on that. That's what I believe. So may I go ahead and ask Dr. Wasim from the participants to share one of his experiences of how did they bring about change in their institution and department. Dr. Wasim?
Good evening, sir. Good evening. Am I audible, sir?
Yes, you are. Dr. Wasim, please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. First of all, thank you to all the facilitators to providing this opportunity to be able to share our experience. So what happened, sir, when I saw the template, there were a couple of changes which happened in our institute which came into my account. But to be specifically where we had an active role is the interdepartmental collaborative programs. Like previously, what used to happen is we community medicine department would be involved in celebrating World Health Day, World TB Day, World AIDS Day, etc. And it would be a very small affair. Rarely it used to be a big celebration, because we ended up having the administration, the dean, the MS, our department, and only the interns and students posted in our department to be a part of that. So what we did is we realized that there should be an interdepartmental collaboration, and we used to invite, based on the World Health Day themes, we used to invite other departments and made them realize their ownership also in the Public Health Day events. So that trend started, sir, and every time we try to collaborate with one or the other department. So we initiated this change. Now what happens is that became a trend in our institute, that even if Department of Surgery and Anesthesia are collaborating together to celebrate World Anesthesia Day, we feel happy. Not even being the part of that celebration, we know that we have started this change, and that change is being sustained right now, sir. And as far as faculty development programs are concerned, again, we are fortunate enough to be part of the training resource person, sir. And but that, when I look on, is a momentary change right now, because CBME is a hot topic, and there are certain aspects which we need to implement right now. So everybody is on the tip of their toes. But once things settle down, I feel that change needs to be reinforced again and again, because faculty development, as Manjunath sir very nicely quoted, there are certain faculty which right away deny that this change cannot happen, and there are a bunch of faculty which accept the change as a fate, that okay, fine, the governance has come from MCI, so we need to do. So to motivate them and make them having ownership in this will require repeated reinforcement, sir. So, and one more thing, what we noticed is basically the main factor which was successful to bring about relevant changes, when we communicated effectively, sir. It is not that we just went with a letter to other departments and asked them to collaborate with us. We just sat with them, we decided the objectives of the program and how it will benefit the students and the institution in the long run. So we were not bothered about if there is no funds given from the college and all, but that effective communication solved so many conflicts. Many departments thought that these community medicine people just go to UHC, PHC, celebrate these events and post the photos on the college WhatsApp group. No, but when we communicated effectively, they felt so happy that, sir, we did not know there is so much of background work related to the success of this program. So this is just which I wanted to share, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Wasim. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. And now I would request Dr. Maltesh. Dr. Maltesh Undi. Dr. Maltesh,
Yes,
you
sir.
are
Am I
unmuted already.
audible, sir?
Could you please share? Yes, Dr. Maltesh, please go ahead.
Yes, sir. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to share my experience. I would like to share one of my experience related to early clinical exposure that was not there prior to CBME. So many of the faculty, especially the first year faculty, were apprehensive, as Manjuna sir had already showed in his slide and explained. Few faculty felt sad, few faculty were very apprehensive, few faculty felt frustrated. Should we really coordinate and go to the hospitals, take our students? Who will take the students? Who will teach? Such apprehensions were there. So initially we thought of training and sensitizing our own faculty. But having said, even after trainings and sensitizing our faculty, things did not work out because of lack of coordination between clinical faculty and preclinical faculty. So then we thought of sensitizing even clinical faculty so that they start cooperating. But still the cooperation was not sustained or progressive in nature. Hence we thought of having a common meeting with curriculum committee, MU, as well as all the HODs and the related members of both clinical and preclinical. These meetings helped us to open up. Initially, I, with the permission of the MEO coordinator and other senior members, made clear that let everyone express their concerns freely so that we can arrive at solutions. Because if we keep the problem with ourselves, those things are the one which comes into as a conflict later. So hence each of them expressed their own problems. So I made clear that we have all expressed the problems. Now let us start coming or arrive at the solutions. This made them realize at least we should be part of the solution, not let ourselves be a part of problem alone. Things by the second or third meeting, people were ready to implement ECE, and it was over a period of time. Many ECEs, especially the clinical skill part, started getting implemented. Unfortunately, because of the lockdown, a few of the ECEs are still pending, which may be completed once the students are back in a few weeks or months. So this may be sustained change, which may be helpful for next upcoming batches. So with this, I learned that yes, we have to be persuasive as well as communicate to all the stakeholders to make sure that they come over a common platform, irrespective of the differences and the cadres and departments. We have to work together, then only probably CBME will be fruitful in implementation. Otherwise, it's really challenging, as Manjunath sir has already told that it would be probably a yagna. Thank you, sir. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to share my experience. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Maltesh. Thank you so much. Any of the faculty facilitators would like to come in and comment something?
Yes, Dr. Animesh, this is Dr. Imangani here.
Yes, Dr.
Can I
Imangani.
say a few things? Yeah,
Yes,
what
please.
I would just like to pass on to all the participants is that we need to start off with a belief that yes, we are going to make it possible. Once we do that and we ourselves in our own small way start showing the changes, definitely things pick up. Now, initially in our college also, when we first put the concept of CBME across, we put it through the whole faculty lot. In the whole lot of auditorium, we had the faculty, and there was mayhem created. People thought that what an absurd concept is this, and there were literally a lot of heated arguments which came up. Then after we allowed people to voice out everything, and they spoke a lot. But we also realized that in addition to that, in every department, there were some people who sort of picked up the concept very well, and they seem to be very, positively oriented to it. So we started identifying such faculty in those departments, and started hand holding them and explaining to them about what exactly it is. So once they got a little more confident, they would go back and pass this on to their faculty in the department. Slowly they started realizing that it's not really as problematic as it sounds, but it is very feasible. There are difficulties and there are a lot of problems, but if we put our minds together and start thinking about it in a positive manner, things do work out, and a lot of these come out. There is a lot of doubt and anxiety in the mind of people, but when we try and identify what exactly is the issue, like most of the faculty were not comfortable reading the modules which were online. So when we realized that, I actually took the lead and I started making printouts. I took prints of all the modules and started giving them personally. It did cost me a lot, but I thought that if I give them this hard copy and if they are able to look at it, then they would definitely be able to go through it in a better manner. And they actually did. Once they got it in a hard copy, they were better off reading it, and the purpose got served, because we expect that they would read the module, but it sometimes doesn't happen. So overall, it follows the Rama module. Like first, there's a lot of ridicule, then it goes to anger. Slowly, people mellow down, and then finally, it gets accepted. So we ourselves should believe it first, and then slowly work around and try to be like water, which flows into various gaps and tries to identify and keep moving. That's what. That's overall. I would just my feelings.
Thank you, Dr. Hemangani. I just, if I could take 2 minutes, Dr. Manjunath, sir, can I take 2 minutes and just share something?
It is you. The entire session is yours.
Yes,
I am done.
sir. No, sir. No,
And
sir.
there are no questions also, sir. There is only one question, if possible, we'll address this, sir. We have answered all. What about retired faculty from government facilities? One Madam Paul has asked this question. Shall we answer this and then go ahead, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please go ahead.
Madam, I understand your concern. I also belong to a government college, the oldest medical college in Karnataka. The point here is teachers will remain teachers till the last day of their life, and also doctors, except surgeons probably. So there are a lot of avenues and options. We can become honorary professors, visiting professors, or we can join a private medical college, etc. But we have to retire in government servant from government service because it is a policy. But if you have the ability to to do extra, or if you have demonstrated yourself that you are an excellent person, there is always a possibility of getting extension in the university. In Rajiv Gandhi University, people are working till 70 years because they have excelled in certain areas. They have been appointed there as directors of various streams, advanced research, curriculum development, because they have done fellowships, they have demonstrated, they have published papers. So because they have demonstrated their leadership skills, they are appointed in Rajiv Gandhi University, and all the 16 health universities in India have people who have crossed the 60. But till 60, we should show that we have accomplished something. If we say that I have done 30 years of service, that I need to, you need to give me an extension. You need to make me registrar. You need to make me vice chancellor. It is not possible. But if I show them that I have been a lifelong learner, I have done quality addition to my institution and to the field by these things, and you show your portfolio. Definitely, there are options and avenues both inside the government sector and outside. And I will stop here. That is, I think, I have answered. Over to Animesh, sir, please.
Thank you, sir. I will just share very simple things. Ma'am, I'll just share and then I'll ask you to probably add on to that. So I'll share very simple things, and some of you might think that why am I sharing, but I'll just tell you, like when about 2015, when we were like trying to look at the exams and the students, sometimes they will have grievances. So then we came up with this idea in our department that let's do one thing, that we will put up after every exam, even the internal sessional exams, we started putting up the, the answer key on the notice board. So after that, when they were seeing the papers, they used to come. So we used to like, one, of course, we used to refer them to that. And the other thing is, initially there was obviously a faculty resistance because we had to ask the faculty to prepare the key and all that. So there was, and then slowly as we evolved, it of course became better. But then we started like, looking at that, and I started showing them that, see, there were one or two who were interested, but other thing was that we showed them that once we did that, actually the students' grievances reduced, and the other thing was people did not have to spend so much of time to deal with students, because what we started making it as a policy was, first they had to look at whether their answers were confirming to those, and then they come and ask. So then those things were like ironed out. So again, that simple thing, and then now it's a process. The other thing which we did was MCQs. When we put up, because we have these MCQs, it was discussed in the department by everybody, and then we tried to vet them, and then again, simple things. The other thing which we did was, as a department, we have a very good system of student research. So we took a notch level higher, where we make them publish. Initially people were, why to make this, why students, why a burden of this thing and all that. But slowly it became a very important thing, because when we started looking at it from the department perspective, faculty perspective, those publications also added to faculty publications also, because they were allotted as guide to a small group of students. And then that also helped us to boost the numbers of institution, which in turn the university, and then rankings. So you see, of course it took some time, but then these are small things, and then some people were convinced, some were not, and then we still had the thing. And then of course there was some support from the institutional administration leadership. So these are small things I just thought I'll just share. And of course, we've done also other things like PBL and all, but these two things I will share, and then I'll stop. Hemangini ma'am, you were saying something, I think, if I got it right.
No, I just heard Manjunath sir saying 30 years of experience, which I remember, is that sometimes that 30 years of experience is just 1 year of experience which you have been doing for 30 years, the same thing. So in fact, many of them do not get varied experience at times. So we have to see, like sir said, that we have to enrich ourselves and contribute and keep growing and be a lifelong learner ourselves, so that the experience that we gain will also be varied and not just very limited experience, and we just keep doing the same thing for the next 30 years. That's all.
Animesh sir, Pankaj.
Yes, sir, Pankaj sir.
Just half a minute. Two things as per the Manjunath sir and your session and all the discussion. Unfortunately or fortunately, community medicine faculties are more hardworking people, and they are poorly marketing people. So probably, as sir was talking about, we need leaders or managers. We need both kind of people who really hard work, as well as are able to propagate the right agenda in a right spirit to the people, so that people understand what is the actual work. That's one. Second thing is with respect to conflict management. Many times people get discouraged thinking that if my colleague or my friend or somebody is not doing, why I should do. Probably there should be a resolution of conflict in inside the ourselves first. Why can't I do something extra? And by looking at me, other people will do it. That internal conflict management is very much required. At the end of the day, if I sleep at 9 o'clock, and within 2 or 3 seconds if I get a sleep, so probably that's the best resolution of conflict management.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Parag sir. Sorry, Pankaj sir. Thank you, Pankaj sir.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
just one word to extend what Pankaj sir told. In our college now the biometry was stopped for some time because of COVID. Now it is resumed since past 1 week. We received a circular from the dean that everybody should mark biometry. So what happened in our department is everybody started calling one another. The question was, have you started marking biometry? And if the answer is no, they also did not do it. So the point is, we always look at others, as Pankaj sir said. If they are doing, we will do. If they are not doing, we will not do. So that should stop at one point of time. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Sir, thank you. Very beautifully illustrated with a very recent and very relevant example. Thank you, sir. So I think we are almost at time. I also wanted to say one more thing, sir. Usually you will have, and Manjunath sir, you can also have the last word. But I just wanted to share that you had said that all conflicts or all these differences are not bad. I totally agree. But I also learned one thing during whatever stint I have had, in different positions, that we should choose our battles wisely, because not everything is also worth. So we have to see where, to concentrate energy. Maybe, sir, you can add on to that and, conclude. But this is what I thought. I will just contribute my 2 cents. Thank you.
Animesh sir, before we go to Manjunath sir's concluding statement, one half a second. We have to survive to fight our long battles rather than die.
Definitely, sir. Thank you. Sir, Manjunath, sir, for you to conclude, please.
Sir, if there are any other remarks from other facilitators, last remarks, anybody else? Khan sir is there, Dinesh sir, I don't know whether Dinesh sir is there or not. Anybody else? Because Dinesh sir is very experienced person, worked in the committee. Sir, any comments from Dinesh sir? Sir is not there, it seems. Okay.
Sir, I think we can just keep saying कि मैं अकेला ही चला था मगर लोग आते गए और कारवां बनता गया. So I think we have to go ahead and there's a lovely song also, Ekla Chalo Re. Start off. We just have to keep moving and keep doing it. People will follow and things will fall in place.
Yeah, thank you very much, madam. So now we can just conclude that we need information about to succeed. Above all, we need knowledge. But what the wisdom is something which will really take us towards goal. So we need wisdom. And what Animesh sir told the last sentence, and Sunil Gavaskar also told, you don't hit all balls. You leave some balls aside. They will go by themselves. We will not address those. So that is wisdom. So wisdom is one thing which we all need to succeed. Thank you, one and all. Thank you for the patient hearing. We'll call it a day. Take care. Good night. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.